All right, welcome back, everyone. I think we're on episode 6 of The Creative Mind and Success. And today we are bringing you guys another lesson. And what we do on this channel is we basically try to take awesome books and kind of break them up, kind of talk about them, make it a little entertaining, and with some pictures. I draw good pictures, by the way. And most importantly, educational. We try to make you guys learn something because I want to share my knowledge. If you look at the channel description, it says sharing my knowledge. So that's what we'll do. And if it's the first time you've seen one of my videos, my name is Ian and I am your host. So what we do basically is we review last episode's lesson briefly, and then we do today's reading, and then we analyze it and make it make more sense because the more times we repeat something in your mind, the better you'll understand it. So, with that in mind, let's get started. So, last episode we talked about the causes behind our conditions. So, I had this little picture here, which I added on. The first episode we had everything on the right hand side. We didn't have the cause, but now we have the cause, the perspective, and the conditions. And we found out that your mind is the cause, your thoughts cause what your conditions are. That's what the author says. And we said that people that have successful thoughts will have successful conditions, and people that say they're average will have average conditions. And that's how reality is. And we also said that everything we see is an effect. That was also a pretty important lesson because the cause is your mind, the effect is what you see. So in the future, he's going to talk about how, like, don't be discouraged by what you see because it's an effect. So a person that maybe he has an unfortunate life circumstance and then he starts trying to apply new things, he tries replacing his thoughts, but then he's discouraged because he sees that everything is still the same. It's because you're making new causes in your mind and it's going to take time for it to have an effect in the physical world. So that was the lesson. Very constructive. So go watch that video fully if you haven't. So today we're going to be talking about unconscious creation. So let's dive into this. The author once attended a patient who was suffering from a large growth. She was operated on and about 50 pounds of water were removed. In a few days the growth had returned. Where did it come from? Not from eating or drinking. Neither did it move from one part of the body to another part, as that would not have increased her weight. It must have been created from the elements which she took in from the air. It had to come from something not physically seen, something appearing from nothing that we see. What we call creation is the same thing, the visible appearing from the invisible. Was not this phenomenon a creation? Was not this phenomenon a creation? Sometimes this guy talks a little bit foreign, but it's old text and it has great knowledge, so I
All right,
will
guys.
I will excuse that. Let's continue. Cases as remarkable as this are occurring every day. We should not deny this fact, but try to explain it. In the case of this woman, there must have been an activity of thought molded into form. How else could this growth have appeared? There is nothing manifest, but there is a cause for the manifestation. Investigation proves that behind every condition, whether of the body or the environment, there has been some thought, conscious or unconscious, which produced that condition. In the case of this woman, the thought was not conscious, but the creation is going on all the time. We should realize this and learn how to control it, so there may be created for us the things that we desire, and not those that we do not want. Is it any wonder that the Bible says, "With all thy getting, get understanding"? Jesus understood all of this, and so it was no more effort for him to do what he did than it is for us to breathe or digest our food. He understood, that is all. But Jesus did understand and he did use the great laws with objective consciousness. People thought he must be God. And when today something unusual occurs, people think that a miracle has been performed. Jesus was not God. He was a manifestation of God, and so are all people. I say ye are gods, and every one of you sons of the Most High. A thinking person will be compelled to admit, in view of all of this, that creation is first spiritual, through mental law, then physical in manifestation. Man does not really create, he uses creative power that already is. Relatively speaking, he is the creative power in his own life. And so far as his thought goes, there is something that goes with it that has the power to bring forth into manifestation the thing that he thought of. Hitherto, men have used this creative power in ignorance, and so have brought upon themselves all kinds of conditions. But today, hundreds of thousands are beginning to use these great laws of their being in a conscious, constructive way. Herein lies the great secret of the new thought movements under their various names and cults and orders. All are using the same law, even though some deny to the others real revelation. We should get into an attitude of mind wherein we should recognize the truth whether we may find it. The trouble with most of us is that unless we see sugar in a sugar bowl, we think it must be something else. And so we stick to our petty prejudices instead of looking after principles. Alright, so what we do is we try and quickly see. Man, I'm always losing my pen. Where did my pen go? Here it is. Okay. We usually go back and highlight some important things, and then we'll talk about it. Because that was a lot of reading. See, I try not to interrupt the readings until the end, but sometimes I can't help it. Because it says like somewhere, he thorough man. I don't know what that is. But I do know the power behind the laws, so it's all good. Alright, let's look here. This is pretty good. With all thy getting, get understanding. So I think kind of what he means with this is that we all like want to get stuff, but if we just got understanding, then we would be able to have it all with no effort. Yeah, I think this is good. And then I also think this like story in the beginning is worth noting. It had come from something that was not physically seen. So the author kind of talks about this woman who has like this growth removed and then it comes back. So the title was Unconscious Creation. So that woman must have had something in her mind that she was kind of thinking about her health in a negative way, and it was coming into manifestation as that growth. So it came back even after the doctors removed it because it was in her unconscious mind. Maybe she wasn't even thinking about it. That's kind of where we're going. It's just unconscious. So it came back anyway, even though she didn't think about it. But we said it had to come from something not physically seen. So from the mind, basically. Whenever the author says something coming from nothing, he usually means through thinking. Alright, let's look at this beautiful picture I've drawn. Alright, future Ian here. So I just wanted to explain the green lines because I didn't explain them in the video, and I realized why I drew them while I'm editing, so I'm going to quickly explain it. So The green lines basically mean that your unconscious and your conscious are creating things in your life. That's why I kind of like drew the lines out. I'm kind of showing that whether it's conscious or unconscious, it's creating. So note that and see you later. Enjoy the rest of the video. So, when I read this, I thought of an iceberg because I'm like, when I think of the mind, I've seen places that say that the unconscious mind is huge and that the conscious mind is only like a small percentage of it. So I was like, that kind of reminds me of an iceberg. So I kind of like drew this image of like a mind, and the tip of the iceberg is our consciousness, which is like what we're thinking about. But then the underneath is the unconsciousness. So there's so many things that we're unconsciously creating in our lives that we may not want. So one might say, well, how do we stop that from happening? Well, the author will tell us in the future, but I'm not going to make you wait. I'm just going to say that we need to use our conscious mind as much as we can. We have to be watching our minds at all times. I said this. Watch your mind at all times, okay? And then you'll begin to see what you're unconsciously thinking. Because a lot of people will think that, oh, every thought that comes into my mind, I thought it. But did you? Think about that, okay? You're not all thoughts are produced by you. Sometimes thoughts just come into your mind and you think it's you thinking them, but did you really think them? So this is where we kind of need to use our conscious mind and be consciously thinking of the thoughts that we want, okay? So if we're always watching our mind and we're always consciously thinking, then our unconscious will have no power over us. So that was kind of a lot, but I hope that made sense. And that's going to conclude our lesson for today. I'm happy that I was able to hopefully shed some light on this, and hopefully you guys learned something. So with that, we will conclude. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.